let's discuss the next thing, which is we discuss how to add endpoints, but let's talk about CMS. If you are adding any bridge to TMS, you have to define what will be the range of the booking that we will be doing. I forgot my CMS password. Let me just remember it. Okay, so it's up now. So when you set up your CMS, the first thing you'll do is you will go ahead and enable the web bridge. So yeah, nothing new about it. So when you set up your CMS, you need to enable web admin on your CMS side, because TMS is going to communicate over HTTPS. So you need to enable web admin, whichever port you define uh, for listening on web admin side. The same is what we require on TMS side. It's not mandatory to have 443 for TMS. We just require HTTPS communication. So whichever port we define, we will define the same port number when trying to add CMS. So what we do is we put in IP address :8443 when we try to add CMS here, and the username and password. You will get your CMS in here. The next thing you do is you require to make some addition modifications to the CMS. That is, you click on extended settings under settings. So settings, extended settings. This is a place where we inform TMS. Okay, I need to inform TMS that this will be my booking range. We are using CMS to host our conferences. We need to let CMS know that this will be the booking range that we will be using from your tool. Okay, so you have CMS, you have certain spaces which are for users, but you require to have certain spaces that will be dedicated to TMS, so that when scheduling happens, it should not be picking up standard user spaces. User may be doing some other work. We cannot use the same booking to do another meeting. Right? So there'll be dedicated spaces created by TMS when you schedule a conference. So you need to define a domain. You need to define a start range, that this will be my starting range of the video address that will be created by CMS. This will be the first number. So 4000 at akanu.amilsi.lab. This will be the video address that my TMS will generate when I try to book a conference. That will be the first one. Now, I may require 10, maybe 20 video addresses based on how many bookings I usually do. I may require 100 bookings at a given time. So I have to maybe change this value to 100 or 200, so that CMS can create dedicated spaces for my TMS. Whenever I do a booking, it will pick one of these available spaces and schedule the conference, and the meeting is going to start. So let me show you that on these screenshots. So I set up web admin on CMS. I enabled it. I try to access the page. Web page is up. Then I go to our Go Spaces section. There are no spaces apart from one that I just created. Then I go to TMS. I added that CMS here, followed by, here it is 443, but we'll add it as 8443 because that's the web admin port number that we have. And it got added. This is my CMS that got added in TMS. Then I define what will be my start range. So mine was 4000, here it's 9003. 7 is the quantity. So I need 7 spaces that should be created on CMS for all my bookings. So 9003 at cmslab.com, 9004 at cmslab.com. Those will be the type of video address TMS will be using when it will schedule a conference. Okay, so from 9003 to 90010, next 7 numbers. So in total, 7. So as soon as I click save, 90003, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the total would be 7, and these will get created. Whenever meeting is going to start, TMS will see whichever meeting is number is available. It will just pick one of those meetings. So I go back to TMS and try to schedule a conference, and it picked up 9005. So one of the available space it picked up. It will always pick up one of those available spaces. It won't pick up any user space. Those will be only dedicated to TMS. Some people may think of modifying those spaces. So the spaces that TMS created in CMS, some people may think of modifying those later on. You cannot do it. Even if you try to modify it, TMS will modify that in the next sync up. Maybe at night it will just re-update those. So make sure do not modify anything on these four spaces. Whatever you have set in the start, just leave it the way it is. So yeah, going back to what you were saying. So you book the meeting. It got 9005 address. That is a VD address. It's picked up. Now 5 minutes before the meeting is going to start. So meeting is going to start at 5:33. 5 minutes before that, the port will be opened for the users to join in. There will be an API which will be sent by TMS to CMS. TMS informs CMS that, hey, I am opening up, or could you please open up the space for me, that is 9005. And this is the API for it, non-member access set to true. When you do that, when it does that, CMS understand, okay, I need to open up the space because people are going to join. So 5 minutes before the meeting starts, this API comes from TMS. This is what we have to look for. Some scenarios wherein booking does not happen, people try to join space, it did not work. This will be the first thing in CMS logs you have to check whether TMS has sent out this request to open up the space. There's a chance that TMS may not have sent it for any reason. Maybe VD address has changed for that space, or could be some other reason. So we need to check out if TMS has sent this request and for what space it has opened the form. Maybe it has changed, your VD address has changed for some reason. So this parameter is required. As soon as the meeting finish, at the time of your meeting is ending up, another API will be sent by TMS setting this value to false. So your space will be closed again. So these spaces are only and only accessible when your scheduled meeting is going to start and end. Once it ends up, you would not be able to access those meetings after that. So this one is important, guys, because CMS is the main bridge that we have nowadays. So any questions you have, guys, let me know. All right, so yeah, if there are no questions, let's talk about bookings then. This will be your main area of concern when you work with customers, and customer will have most of their cases faced for problems related to bookings. How you do a booking is you go to booking section and click on new conference. This is a front end. At the back end, there is a code which is working, which is defined for each one of these buttons. I defined any meeting name like this. Set the meeting type to auto connect. I can set it to one button to push. Auto connect means when meeting is going to start, an API will be sent out to each of the device. TMS will send an API to dial XXX number, and those endpoints will dial that number. That is automatic connect. One button to push means there will be a button that you can press. You can click on that button that will be populated on the endpoints. When you click on that button, your endpoint will dial out to the VD address, which will be defined in the back of it. Third one is manual. In this one, a VD address will be generated and that will be shown on the screen on the touch panel. So you dial that number manually. That will be the most common. So these are the three most common the booking types that we have. You define your meeting start time and end time here. Here you add your participants. There is one section called external hosted. It means if you want to host this meeting externally and you do not want to use CMS, you do not want to use WebEx or something else, you can define that this will be my bridge. So if you have a Polycom bridge or any other bridge and you have a that is not supported by TMS and you want that meeting to be hosted on 123 at 12 at Cisco, you can define a number like this. We are manually informing TMS that this will be my VT address. You do not need to think about any other bridge. Just make sure that all our participants dial this number. When you add participants, this will be a bridge for them. TMS won't be managing this bridge because TMS doesn't know it's an external hosting. But if you check this option and put this info, this will be the number they will dial. So some people can do a manual booking like that. If you want to include WebEx, you can check this option. It will include WebEx URL in a meeting. So people from outside or those who do not have any endpoints with them, they can join it using the URL. You can put in a password if you want to. So I click on this bottom username. When you click on it, this is my WebEx site that I created or that I added on the administrative settings that I showed you earlier. So I have to define my WebEx site and then I define what is my username and password. Okay, so like I have our Cisco WebEx site, right? Cisco.webex.com. When I log into this, there will be a username and password that I require to do all the bookings. So I'm logged in with my account. When I'm using this one, there's a username and password defined for it. I need to define the same username and password here so that when I book meetings, it should be hosted on my personal account on the same website. Else it would not let you do it. I cannot just define any website and use it for bookings. Right? So every website would require a user account that has the required permission to book meetings. So you have to define your username and password, which is from website. Then you add participants. So I click on this. I click on endpoints. Whatever is showing black is a good sign that at least it's responsive. I'll move this here. Then I click next. I'll move this one because that one was also showing correct response. I'll take off WebEx for the time being. Okay, here. Let me remove WebEx, just a simple couple of WebEx, a couple of endpoints that I'll add here and check out. So right now I'm trying to book 2 endpoints. I need to see if this meeting will work. So without even clicking on save, I click on connection settings. When I do that, I can see a string that got created for these 2 devices. And I can see a dial string which is created. This means my system has already picked up a conductor for booking. TMS has intelligence and it check 2 devices. It can also validate, okay, which way or which bridge would be able to handle those conferences. It will auto pick those in a conference. I can also manually choose CMS and click OK. When I go to connection settings now, it will be picking up CMS. But now it says could not set up conference with CCCCC. So likely TMS is trying to find a route that if these 2 participants would be a part of conference and CMS would be a bridge to host those, would CMS be able to dial or would these endpoints be able to dial? If no, it will throw that error message saying that I cannot add CCC. Let me remove CCC and see. If I remove GCG, I can see that this endpoint have a route created. I can define which direction the call will be. So here it says CMS will dial out 4321. I can change the route also. In this case, the dial string would be 4001. This is the space I have on CMS, which this endpoint will be dialing to. So this will be the direction. This page is pretty important to check out how calls are connecting, whether the call will work or not. All of these tabs will give you a quick hint. Customer says my bookings are not working from Outlook. Uh, First thing you always cross check is, are you able to book those meetings from TMS or not? Maybe the endpoint is not reachable. Maybe the route is not there, device got unregistered. All of those problems might sound very difficult when you check it from a user perspective, but it would become easy when you take a look from TMS and the backend. You check out those endpoints that is trying to book, check out status for those. If it shows idle, there are no errors like provisioning error, wrong username, password, no HTTP response. All of that is fine. Then try to book a meeting and see if the route is picking up for all the devices. You try to book manually. If it works here, it means there's problem when you go from Outlook. That route has some problem. Then you try to book a meeting that side and then check XE logs. Okay, do not go with logs right away. Do some basic hands-on to understand this part. And then you click save. Yeah, once you click save, click on list conference. You'll find this meeting here. Meeting type is manual connect, so no dialing would happen. But you'll see some events here. When you see this part, it says meeting allocated on 4001 at Akano Lab. This means my meeting has been allocated on CMS 4001. It is my space. So that event that I showed you, non-member access, has been triggered by TMS at this point. TMS has triggered that event saying that, hey, can you please, hey CMS, I'm allocating this meeting on 4001. Can you please open that space? My meeting is going to start at this time. CMS will do that. Then next, it will ask this unit, okay, your meeting has been allocated. Please manually launch the meeting and dial this number. So this message must have been sent on this unit. And ask VC master to start manual because this is a manual for launch meeting. So there's a number that will be populated on the touch panel of this device. Ask them to dial this number because the meeting has started. Once that user joins, TMS will get to know the event will be populated here that CETA SX10 connected. Once we disconnect, you'll again see a message saying that SX10 has been disconnected. So in this entire conversation, entire login, you will never see that TMS has dialed anyone. TMS is just sending an API, just sending APIs to bridges to the managed devices, asking them or instructing them to do this and that. That's it. It's not dialing any device. It's just asking this device to allocate space. It will ask CMS to dial maybe this number if the call type is different, but it would not dial anything. If customer says my calls are disconnecting, TMS job is to ask CMS to dial out. Okay, it would not disconnect any calls. If it has, for any reason, that event would be here. You can check out event logs. This will be the best place for you to troubleshoot any of the booking related problems. Any of the changes that we make now, like if I added this conference, I change some participants, like I try to add some participants. Those events would be saved in the same event, in the same event log section. Because I just add some dial-ins. I'll see this section saying meeting conference updated with dial-ins. If customer is updating something on Outlook, any meeting end time change, any participant they added, all of those events will be here. If customer says my VT address has changed, you'll get to know from here that okay, there is a change that has been updated. We can ask customer to confirm at what time they receive an email about the meeting address change and compare which event has triggered it. And then we can ask customer, okay, you have changed this. And because of that, the meeting address is changed. Probably try to recreate the problem and see if it's standard that the video address will change or if it's a bug or something. So any question guys on this part? This is most important and the best thing that uh, you can check on TMS when you go on this. Logs are not that specific on TMS, as I said earlier also. So this will be the best place or the easiest place for you guys on the Go interface to check it out. You can get logs, but this will be more easy for you. Any questions, anything? Or should I move forward? Please give a thumbs up if everything is good. All right, so let's talk about the next important topic, which is
Sorry, I have one question.
yes.
Yeah, we have like multiple options to book the meeting via TMS, right? So is there a way if we can modify the meeting as well via the TMS? Let's say we have started on 4001 and can we move it to 4002 or something, or is it already predefined with TMS and CMS doesn't have any control with it?
Okay, so when you talk about changing this part,
Yeah.
it's a backend code that does the intelligence to see if the port is available, if this port is available. The only thing you can do is you can try adding more participants, keep adding more participants till the time your TMS feels that it will not be able to host conference on this port. Or try to change the end time to see if, for example, this meeting was for 1 hour. Maybe try to modify this to 5 hours.
Okay.
It is possible that 4001 might be in use after an hour or maybe after 2 hours. So if you define a 5 hour meeting, in that case, TMS will be forced to change this address. Else, if it's a normal condition, you would not be able to modify. You have to force TMS to make certain events when it gets confused. Okay, I have to change it because I have to use this address for some other reason or this and that. But you would not be able to manually change it. It's not possible.
Okay. So basically, in case of like a decision making, TMS holds the upper hand, that onto like deciding I'll use this port number to hold this conference,
Yes.
and CMS doesn't have much control over it.
Yes, CMS has no control, I would say. CMS has just given rights to TMS. Okay, you decide what is your volume that you want on my side. It will give that pool. It's kind of a DHCP kind of thing wherein you have defined a set of IP address. We have defined a set of PD address. Now, this allocation is all TMS intelligence at the backend. User cannot do anything, CMS cannot do anything. It will randomly pick one PD address and we cannot change it.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And so this whole communication will be over HTTPS, right? Or
Yes, correct.
okay, okay.
TMS sends APIs over HTTPS, and that's how all of this conversation or all of this communication happens. This VD address will only be forced to change when TMS feel that it would not be able to continue with this number. For example, there was a meeting that got extended. So today they booked a meeting for 5 minutes. Later on, they changed it for 1 hour. And that number for the one is not available for 1 hour. Maybe it's in use later on. Then only it will change it.
Okay.
So there'll be many scenarios wherein customer will say, I made some changes on existing booking and my video address is changed. why did this happen, this and that. Those changes would not happen easily unless you make certain changes wherein you force TMS to change it. So you have to find those reasons based on the event logs. Check out, hey, what exactly happened, what changes you made, and what has triggered it. Was there a end time that changed? Because TMS would not change this easily. It's a tough decision to make.
Mhm.
All the participants, your booking address will receive this. So even TMS developers are aware of it. That if you change this, maybe it's a CEO meeting, you book a meeting maybe 6 months ago, and today it's going to start, and you make a lot of modifications. If it keep on changing this VD address, it will be a pain at the end of the day when meeting is going to start. We never know what type VD address it has. So yeah, they try to they try not to change it, but this does happen once TMS is forced to do it.
And if this happens, like it'll show in the event logs here on this event log section, right?
Yes, your lifesaver would be this, I would say. You can check schedule events,
Mhm.
but those are all messy. It would not give you clear cut information the way you get in VCS logs and CMS logs. So easy way would be compare the timestamp, because when VD address change, they will receive another email, a confirmation email showing a new VD address.
Okay.
Compare that timestamp with here and check what exactly they changed. And ask them to try recreating the same problem with the same sort of events and see if we are able to recreate it or not.
Mhm. Okay.
That will be a position wherein we can see, okay, this has really caused it, or there are some bugs or this.
And for TMS, the addition will only be for let's say the master CMS, right?
Yes.
It'll only communicate with the master CMS.
Yes, so I forgot that part. Yeah, so when you add CMS, you'll only add your master CMS into TMS. Your CMS could be in a cluster, but we will only add your master. Your master will take care of replicating those spaces onto the other slave nodes.
Mhm.
Yeah, but here we will just add your master.
And so this makes it like that the web bridge is definitely required on the master CMS because it's all going to be on HTTPS.
Your web admin should be there. Web
Yeah,
admin should be on your master nodes,
yeah.
because it's going to talk over HTTPS.
Okay. Thanks, Ambani.
No problem. Anyone else has any question? Let me know. Then we'll talk about TMS execute now. Okay. So there are no questions. Let's talk about TMS XE.